Hey Spartans, Brian Chontosh here on Spartan Stand, and today I want to talk to you about keeping up and catching up. There's a little saying that I've heard throughout the years. It's easier to keep up than it is to catch up. And I don't know where it came from, probably in the military. I think back to formation runs, forced marches, and inevitably when you have a group of men hiking, it's a forced march over miles in terrain, they get tired. And when they get tired, they start to disperse a little bit, or the interval between the guy in front of them and themselves gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And what that does is, obviously, the unit integrity goes down, and then the gunny starts yelling, hey, catch up, reach out, like, get up there, close the gap. And because, we want to have a cohesive unit moving together. And so that individual will start to run or jog or have to sprint to catch up. And everybody behind him is affected as well. So then they all have to run or sprint or jog to catch back up. And you can see how that spike in exertion could create even more fatigue to somebody that's already fatigued who can't keep up in the first place, and affect everybody else, pre-exhausting them. And you see how unit efficiency can decline really, really quick when we're constantly playing catch up. Or another way it would manifest is somebody would just start to fall back a little bit, and they might be 10 feet away from the person in front of them when we're looking to be 1.5, 2 feet away from each other, nice and tight. And they'll be going the same speed, only they're 10, 15 feet, yards, whatever. They're putting out the same amount of energy they would be if they were right up there, but yet they like to be back. And it's like, hey, close the gap. But they're going the same pace. If you would have just stayed up here and done the same pace, all would have been fine. And again, affecting everybody behind them or that are supposed to be supported in a negative way. And so it's just easier to keep up than catch up. That's purely on a physical exertion type thing. But that's what makes a lot of sense easy, right? What about with our communications, our reaching out and staying in touch with people, about reading habits or other things that you like to do? What about our diet? What about our personal exercises? What about keeping your house clean? All these other little things that we fall behind in life, and then we got to play catch up to get it all, and then it exhausts us, or it takes us away from doing other things that we want to do, right? So I like to think about that. It's easier to keep up than catch up when I don't want to do something. Oh, I'm going to do it later. Oh, I don't feel like doing this. I'm going to do it later. I just, bang, it pops in my head. Tosh, just keep up. It's going to be that much easier just to keep up right now, make the right decision here and now, so you don't have to do it later. And I like that. For me, I think that is a good stretch exercise for us all to think about. But then I want to do it a little bit even farther. And I'm going to use my dad. I love my dad. Going to use him as an example. He's 67 years old. Age is catching up to him. He's not in the shape he used to be in. He's a little overweight, hard to breathe, doesn't bend over well anymore, can't get down onto his knees, things like that. And we were changing the tire on the 4Runner the other day. And you're down on your knees, you're cranking on the monkey wrench and taking lugs off, and he couldn't bend over. And I'm just watching him, and he can't bend over to do it. It hurts him. It doesn't feel right. He wants to stay involved. We're doing father-son stuff. And so he's looking for a shortcut to accommodate a loss of capacity. And so he puts the monkey wrench on the crowbar and steps on, the thing to try to break, because he was breaking lugs. And then the crow flies and goes off, and it's, oh, shit. And then he's got to pick up. I'm not even supposed to swear on this podcast. And but that was my dad. I was just quoting my dad. And so then he's got to try to pick up the crowbar. So then I actually have to stop what I'm doing to go pick up the crowbar for him, or he bends over and he hurts himself, and then it affects him being able to continue to do what we want to do and share together. And so you see how when we lose capacity, we start to create shortcuts. And I've started to look at that, and I'm not bad about my dad. I think it's normal and it's natural. Where else in our lives are we creating shortcuts, and why? Is it because we weren't putting in effort or energy to keep up? And now, instead of playing catch up by overexerting ourselves, we want to find the easy way to do something. I've spent a lot of time thinking about that recently. And I want to be really, really aware of that in myself when I'm doing something and I'm looking to make it easier. I'm always looking to make it easier. I'll stop. Oh, I could do this more efficient. Well, or I could just do it and not waste the time thinking about how I could do it more efficient because now I'm wasting time. Or why am I trying to do it easier? That could be an indicator that I've lost capacity at doing something, right? So I'm not saying that's a 100% sell-all case. It just has me thinking about what I'm doing. I'm trying to be really, really conscious when these thoughts creep into my head, and it's easier to keep up than catch up. Keeps me kind of in check, saying, okay, I've got to clean the house today. Well, I'll do it tomorrow. Well, just do it now. Keep the chores caught up, right? Oh, well, I'm going to have my diet. I'm going to let my diet decline. I'll just work out extra hard next week. Well, or just make a better decision right now so that you don't have to play catch up later. And so I think that's something that we could benefit from, just being aware of that and asking your question, why? Why am I having to play catch up right now, and how is it affecting other decisions that I'm making moving forward? I'm Brian Chontosh on Spartan Stand. I'm part of the Spartan Up podcast series that brings professionals from many different walks of life to give you advice and ideas how to be more successful in your life.